Okay, we're going live here. We're good. All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Webinar Wednesday. We got a lot of stuff to cover today, but pretty easy. No real big lifts here. So Rob is over here in the corner. Rob will be taking questions. So remember, if you got a question, you can go down there on the right-hand side to that message, and you can message Rob a question. In your handouts, you will see this book, which we're going to basically start on. We'll go through this few pages, and then we'll move on from there. And then we're going to get into explaining and understanding. We have a couple cutaways here hiding behind me, cutaways of the water softener unit. We'll go through that just so you have an understanding of how the unit actually functions. And we got Chris and Brett here also because we got a couple of cameras that are going to be used today. So I'm John Resso, Wales Darby. We're in the New Jersey studio. And we're going to talk about A.O. Smith water conditioning. So A.O. got into the water conditioning business a while back. They actually purchased Aquasana in 2015. Then they proceeded to purchase Hague. They purchased Masters. They purchased Water Right. So they are, elbow deep in the water treatment world. So, and it still carries the A.O. Smith, the strong branding of A.O. Smith. So good option for your water conditioning needs. If you have this book open, what we've done in this book, this is kind of like a catalog that breaks down everything that we offer. And through third-party testing, whether it's NSF or ANSI, we go through all of the different codes that we adhere to for each one of the products. There'll be a check mark over here identifying what it qualifies for. So this is not a huge line. This is more, we're trying to gear this for the guys that are doing this on a daily basis, not necessarily going for the crazy waters that are out there. This is more for the mainstream type water that's out there. We don't handle iron very well with our softener, so we don't really get into heavy iron water. So we'll talk about that as we go through. So if you need to understand what certifications we meet, whether it's NSF or ANSI, that's all going to be in your book. In addition to that, we just go through and we give you just kind of like what a water softening layout would look like over here. And then if you're having a conversation with a homeowner, everything with us starts with a water quality test. And I didn't bring the water test kit in. We did that last time. But everything starts with a water quality test, and if you have a total dissolved solids meter, a TDS meter, that gets you your starting point. This is to reinforce what's going on in our footprint. So if we look at lower New York and New Jersey, where we cover, as well as Darby, we can see here, where we fall in the moderate, slightly hard, wherever you fall, what category you fall in. And then you're going to test that water to confirm that that's where you are. In addition to that, on the bottom, we have a total dissolved solids. It will tell you, what is good, what you may want to treat, depending on where it falls on that scale. You could do something as easy as a 100, a point of use filter. You could do a 200. You could do a AO W3000, which is a reverse osmosis unit. So that'll all depend on you taking the test at the home. That is number one priority. Make sure that people know and see what you're doing. Preferably not with the strips. If just put yourself in their shoes. If you came to my house, poured a glass of water, dipped the stick in it, and said, "Oh, you need, $5,000, $10,000 worth of equipment," based on what that stick is telling us, I'd be a little skeptical. So we prefer having a professional kit. We offer them. You can get them anywhere. You want to test for chlorine, you're going to test for iron, you're going to test for hardness, you're going to test the pH, you're going to test those few items, total dissolved solids, see where you land, and then you will go to this book. This book will then help you start to recommend the proper item for that job. Okay, so on the next page in this book, we give you a chart, and basically after you do your test, you will have the conversation with the purchaser, the end user, and ask them, do you want a salt option or a salt-free option? So salt-free option is not a water softener. It is just a water conditioner. That would be this unit right here in the back. That's the FC600. Has a 1-inch tapping, so this is in, this is out. We got a heavy carbon filter, and we got some garnet rock, some different things going on in there. And what that'll do is that's going to really deal with your taste, odor, and it's not a softener. You may get 1 or 2 grains softer after you run through there, but do not look at that as a water softener. It is strictly for water treatment, and it's going to reduce that chlorine taste and odor, and that good for 600,000 gallons or 6 years. So no maintenance on it when it's installed. It's set it down there, put it on your main coming into the house, pipe it in, pipe it out, let it go to the home. That will take care of your chlorine, odor, and taste items and that.
We got a question over here, John. Gentleman wants to know, how do you find a water treatment lab that has no connection to a water company? Is there some sort of list somewhere?
We don't have a list. What we do is we train the contractors on how to do that water test themselves. We have a couple of different kits that we offer. We buy them. We're third party, basically buying them and selling them out through distribution. Most distributors have some type of water softening kit that they offer, but our recommendation is to get one that'll do chlorine, pH, hardness, get a total dissolved solids meter, iron readings. Those 4 or 5 tests. Realistically, you've done them. I've done them. It's you got 5 to 6 minutes that you're really testing the water, and you'll know right there before you leave the job site, so you can have that conversation with the homeowner, and hopefully have a good conversation, be able to close the sale. So if you're interested and you want to see the ones we use, we'll be happy to get you trained up on it, how to do it, and what to look for, and then where to go in this book to figure out a plan to put together for what items they would need to meet their request.
Okay. I'm going to respond to him with your email address. So
yeah, that's fine. Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So in here again, we got if we want the non-salt, that's our only non-salt option right here. FC600. Again, it's zero maintenance. You're not adding salt to it. You're not doing anything along them lines. It's strictly going to run the water through it. And after 6 years or 600,000 gallons, you're going to take that unit out and put a new one in its place. So that's one option. The second option would be to understand what they have in the home. Is it 1 to 2.5 bathrooms, or is it 3 to 5 bathrooms? And based on that information, it would either be the AOW S400 or the AOW S500. And they are softeners. And that's this unit right here. This is an AOW 400. The 500 would just be a little taller. That's one of the differences with the 500. And you'll probably hear me say this a couple of times. The 500 also offers Wi-Fi. So if you want a reminder that the salt is low, or you want to know if the unit is seeing 36 degrees in your basement or wherever you have this installed, it will send you an email and let you know that your salt is low or that it's starting to get cold. So we'll spend a little more time on the softeners here in a minute.
Got another question.
Shoot.
Here.
Good.
Another gentleman wants to know, does this work for the rotten egg smell in the water?
Yeah, probably not. Usually that's sulfur related, and usually that's going to have some type of injection system, like a chlorine injection type system. Again, we don't have a product line right now that goes into those realms. We kind of wanted to keep this, simple for the contractor to just understand. That'd be more of a chlorine injection type deal.
Okay. We have had some luck. It's hit or miss with the powered anode rods.
In the water heaters, right?
Inside the water heater,
right?
So you can try that out as well inside a water heater.
Right. Telltale sign here: if you go to the back of a toilet and you pull the cover off the back of the toilet, if you see any slime growth on the components in the back of the toilet, more than likely the powered anode rod will not work. If it's just a slight odor and they only get it once in a while, the powered anode rod may work. But these items that we're going to talk about here today will not fix that problem. But that's really where you go, pull the cover off the back of the toilet. Make sure the toilet's been installed for a while, right? Not a brand new one, and that'll normally tell you. There's also sometimes we get phone calls where maybe someone goes away for a while and the water heater is full but not at temperature. elevate the temperature to 140 degrees, let it run there for a while, or for 140 or higher, let it kill any of the bacteria that's in there, and then flush it out. And there's also some areas, throughout New York and New Jersey where the standard anode rod in a water heater brand X, Y, or Z, we're the A.O. Smith guys, but we see it, everybody sees the same problems. And you may have to go to a zinc anode rod to kill some of those odors. So outside of the realm of water treatment, but just this is what we run into, and these are some of the questions we get. Keep the questions coming. We really like this to be interactive, so that's great. On the next page, this will go through kind of what our water filter systems look like. So it could be as simple as a point of use. This is a AOW 100, and the next page will break it down for you. So this is good for a home. Put this at your main faucet, whatever your main faucet is. Good for 1 to 5 people in the house, a 1-year warranty. This will reduce 99% of lead, cyst, chlorine. Really good unit. Spin off, no valve required, quarter turn. It's no different than putting a filter in your refrigerator. So it just lines up, quarter rotation, and that can mount directly under your sink. That will come with the hoses and the fittings you need to hook it up. This is also a pretty neat item. We actually have the ability to mount this horizontally. We give you a bracket so that 100 can be mounted horizontally. So the screws you need to put this to the back of your cabinet, wherever you're going to mount it, that all comes with the unit. Again, quarter turn, no valve required. You're going to tap right into your hoses coming into your sink currently, and you're just going to go in through the filter, down through the filter, out and back up to your sink. Cold water side, this has to be at point of use. Flow rates are not super high. You're good for about 4,750 gallons before you got to worry about changing out the cartridge on this unit. So good unit. That's our entry level, but filters are readily available. We have these on our shelf. Some of our distributors out there have them on their shelves also. So that will get us there. The next unit, this is an AOW 2000. This will remove 99% of 77 different chemicals. So here we're going to get into your PFOAs, PFOSs, again with the lead and everything. This will also be a point of use. A lot of times guys will take this and they'll actually put it under the sink or in the basement right below the sink. They'll take one portion of it, run it to their refrigerator, to their cold water tap on the refrigerator, and then this has to have a dedicated faucet. This is the faucet that comes with it. It is a pretty robust faucet. We also give you the wrench to take these apart. Right in here is a battery. So when the filter is used up, you'll hear it beep and the light will turn red. And these are a little different. They are still quarter turn to come off as I disassemble everything in front of you. They are still a quarter turn to come off, but then this right here, that's what the wrench is for. You'll open this up and then you have a cartridge style filter in there. You'll remove, you'll take a new one. There's O-rings on the top. You make sure that's in place so there's no bypass. And then that will screw back on and you'll tighten it up and then that'll go right back into the housing. So that's our AOW 2000. Again, this gets into the PFOAs, the PFOSs. So if you're anywhere near, usually you're near an airport, and if they were spraying down airplanes and you had runoff from the airplanes, that de-icer, that or foam for the fires, that's usually where you'll get your PFOAs and PFOSs. We also deal with some lead here. So we have a breakout on every one of these, and it will tell you exactly how much it will remove of those 77 chemicals. So that's the AOW 2000. Set that down over here. Next one up would be an AOW 3000, and we don't have it up here because we were just jammed up for room. That's our reverse osmosis. That's kind of the buzzword in the water conditioning world. Great unit. It's a 3 filter setup, also comes with, you have to have an air gap faucet for that. So we make sure we can flow the water through it. Makes, let's call it approximately 15 gallons of water a day. Some pros and cons to reverse osmosis. It will kill everything that's in the water for the most part. So it does a good job from that standpoint, but it also wastes a lot of water. So if you have a well system and you may run low on water, think of trying to take water and push it through a piece of cellophane, and then the clean water is going to be on this side and the wastewater will stay on the other side, and you'll end up dumping all that to waste. So they're really good. The reason you have that dedicated air gap faucet is it removes even the good minerals out of the water when it's stripping through that bladder. So a lot of people want reverse osmosis. It definitely works. It definitely makes your water taste better. We're getting into 88 chemicals. Will remove 99% of 88 different chemicals. So again, if you're super concerned about your water, this may be a really good option for you, but just understand how it works. 2-year warranty on that, and good for 1 to 4 people.
Yes, so I got a question here. For people who have babies in the house that have to use what do they call it?
Formula. They want to mix formula
they have
with
to
it.
mix the formula, but it has to be what's the process called? I forgot.
You're the last guy in the room to have a baby, so.
Yeah, right.
Sterilized?
Yes, sterilized.
Yeah.
There's another word for it. Whatever it is.
Yep.
Could that replace that?
The boiling and everything like that.
Right, exactly.
I don't think I'd go that far with it, but
Okay.
we will. It's going to get you out of everything we've talked about so far. The reverse osmosis will get you the closest to that.
Okay.
Okay, and I'll put it this way: good friend of ours has a reverse osmosis system. Their dog drank the reverse osmosis water. It's basically its whole life. They bought a new home, moved into the house, did not have a reverse osmosis system there. The dog wouldn't drink the water.
Really?
Yeah, so it's something you get used to. It's a taste you get used to. Some people really want it. Some people want no part of it. So again, it's a preference thing. But if you have chemicals in your water and you're worried about it, pesticides, mercury, PFOAs, PFOSs, and a bunch more, some lead in there, that's a really good system, and it's our highest level right now. And we're working on another one that, who knows, we'll see it when we'll see it,
I'd
but
like to see what that tastes like.
we're working on another one. And again, all this stuff, whether it's the 100 to 2,000 or the 3,000, you get all the hoses and connectors you need to tie that into your existing system. And on the ones with the filter, if you have a granite countertop and you have that soap dispenser that may be used or not, that's a good location. They give you a ring collar that'll go right down into that granite countertop, so you don't have to drill a hole. But they will lose their soap dispenser. So if that's a big deal, that's a big deal. If it's not, you're okay to look at that route. Everything we've talked about, everything you see on this table, all falls under A.O. Smith Contractor Rewards. So you can take part in the Contractor Rewards programs. They'll run specials throughout the year where you get double points or triple points, and this earns you, whether you want swag, whether you want to advertise something, whether you want to promote your business in some way, shape, or form with A.O. Smith. This will qualify you for a lot of different programs that A.O. Smith offers, and definitely take advantage of it. If you're doing A.O. Smith water heaters, tankless or tank style, this can tag right onto that program. Currently, you're scanning a QR code on the water heater side. This right now is still a paper process. They're going to eventually take those two programs and put them together, and hopefully we'll have a QR code system on here in the near future. So that's what's going on that side of the business. We also have a descaler, and that is this product preserver. So if you are doing condensing boilers, the combi versions where you have a plate exchanger or some type of device on that boiler where you're making hot water, or if you're using a tankless water heater, A.O. Smith now offers a unit X3, which has the filter built in. But if you have something outside of that, doesn't have to be an AO product. This will protect the water coming in. So anytime you're making hot water, we refer to it as making hot water right now. Okay, no delay. I can't have a tank and wait for it to heat up. This will not hold the hardness in the water long enough to pass it. So if you're not storing hot water anywhere, if you're making hot water on demand, basically call it, whenever you need hot water, this would go in front of that tankless water heater, that combination hot water heating boiler. And it's just a straight flow through. You would have to valve this off to change the cartridge. This will go 2 years on the water side, so we'll drop sediment out in here, and you can mount this if you'd like. We got a bracket. You can mount it. We give you the screws, everything you need. We give you the wrench to take the bottom of the cartridge off. I'm doing it in reverse right now because I got it on a bench. So in here, you just have your top. Your water comes in. It's forced to go down through the cartridge. Then it comes back up around the cartridge and exits the unit. This is the cartridge. It has a centering ring to make sure that we center it so that when we put this on, it goes into the right location. It also has an O-ring here so we won't get bypassed when the water is going into the unit. There's a media in here, and what that does as the water comes through, this will coat the hard water, and it will help pass it through that heat exchanger on that tankless water heater or on that combination boiler, a plate exchanger, or whatever it is. It just makes that hard crystal slick, and it will pass it through, dump it out through the sink, the shower, the tub, whatever you're running the water through, and it will pass it so it doesn't collect inside that heat exchanger, which will eventually cause that heat exchanger to fail prematurely. So this is a really good investment. We've had great success with them. We've had areas where, tankless units were failing in 6 months, and we put these in, and they're checking them every once a year. And so far, we've had great success with it. You'll clean this side of the cartridge out once you take that filter out. Clean it out. Make sure there's no sediment, debris in the bottom, and then put your new cartridge in. Spin the cartridge back on. Spin this bottom half back on as this is mounted somewhere, and then you got a little bleed valve here. If you want to bleed the filter out, you can. Knock the pressure off, you can. Just push down on this, and you can knock the pressure off, valve it off, knock the pressure off, spin your cartridge off. After you've cleaned it, changed everything, put it back on. If you want to bleed this out or bleed it out through the house, doesn't matter. Either way, it will work. But again, not brand sensitive. That will help with water in general, but it has to be something that you're making hot water right now. And in this book, you'll see there's a descaler, there's a neutralizer, a condensate neutralizer. The condensate neutralizer is still being made, so it is not available, but it is in our book as we speak. So now let's get into these water softeners and what they do and how they work. All right, we gave you the non-salt version, and that's the FC600. And then we said about the S400 and S500 units. So 36,000 grains for the 400, 50,000 grains for the 500, and the 500 has the Wi-Fi and so on and so on. So underneath here, we have our control. It's a touchscreen controller, super easy to set up. When you set it up for the first time, every unit comes out of the factory set at 25 grains hard. So if your water is 25 grains hard, you don't have to change it. If it's not 25 grains hard, you're just going to push on it. And you're going to have a plus and minus. You're going to be able to increase or decrease. After you set it to whatever the number is that you need, you're going to save it, and that will be the new ratio that the unit will look at to soften the water at. If you have ferrous iron, we can go up to call it 5 to 10 parts of ferrous iron. Every part of ferrous iron is equal to 5 grains of hardness. So if you have 20 grains hard water and 1 grain of ferrous iron, you would set this at 25. So just so everyone's clear on that. And then you have the ability to go in here and set the unit to high efficiency. This is the salt door right here. That will open up. This will hold 200 pounds of salt. Both units will hold 200 pounds of salt. It's not a very big unit, as you can see. I got it up on a table. I'm just going to remove this cover and hand that over here to Vanna Rob.
Yep.
So Rob took that. Great, thank you. And basically our valve is right here. So our valve is here, our control is here. You can see some of the mechanisms. We'll get into the one here. We chopped up and show you some stuff with a cutaway. Pretty unique feature on this. Roll it down a little bit just so you can see it a little bit better. There we go. That's good. We got a bypass valve here on the back. So if you go in and soften up a system and someone is just not used to the softer water, you have the ability to make a slight adjustment to it without having to go there and reprogram the control. If someone has this hooked up to their home and it is before their outdoor faucet and they want to fill their pool, you can put this into 100% bypass, so you're not trying to soften water that really doesn't need to go through the softening process. So again, all in one, super easy. This one does not have the media bed in it, so it's much lighter. All the equipment you need to hook it up, we give you the hose, the fittings, everything for the to drain. We give you the power cord, so you'll plug the power cord in. That'll plug directly into the back of the touchscreen panel. The touchscreen panel looks at flow, and this is what controls the regeneration of our rod in here to go back and forth with the gaskets. So how the unit works, you're going to pour in your salt. When you first turn it on, it's going to send some of the water into the salt tank, which will start to create your salt brine. Okay? We have it set to our hardness levels, whatever that number is. Our inlet here, looking at the unit from the front, the inlet will be on the left, the outlet will be on the right. We just want to make sure we get those hooked up correctly. If not, we have the chance to send the bed out to the faucet. Not something we want to do. So, set it up, water in. We dump some water into the brine tank, start to make that brine. From that point forward, the water will go into the unit. The water will enter the unit. All right, Chris is going to zoom in. That's great. The water will enter the unit. It's going to hit right here onto this diverter. This diverter will then throw the water all across this screen. The water will then trickle down through this screen into the resin bed. This is the resin bed. That will fill this whole area. Between this plate, this is a complete cutaway. All you're seeing now is the guts of this unit. Everything in here is going to be filled with that bed, that media, the resin bed, okay? And that's packed in there. That's like vacuum packed in there. And it's all done from right down here. There's a little port. You can see this little port go through. That goes to the media. That's it. The water will then come down through here. We'll grab the hard crystals, and then the water will come down and be flushed back up through this pipe, and then through the outlet of the softener. And that will be softened water. Again, to whatever that setting is on the controller. That's what goes on there. In addition to having the resin bed, I only have a sample here of the garnet rock that used to be in the top of these units. So this garnet rock would be located all around here on this upper screen. That's what this diverter is for. So as the water comes in, we can't just flush the garnet rock out of all of these compartments. It will get equal flow across them, and that's there to start to take out some of the odors and filter some of any debris that goes through. We have now switched over to an MDF, which is a copper-based product that will really do away with the chlorine odor, which was the goal of what this was for. So the water will come in, will go down through these screens, down through the bed. The bed will grab the hard crystals, trickle down. You got good clean water at the bottom, come back up the tube and out to the home. When the unit has reached its point where it needs to regenerate, inside here, we'll rotate this around and we'll push. I'm going to take this valve apart here in a few minutes. You'll see there's a rod inside there that's going to slide back and forth. When we're conditioning water, it's in one position. When we're regenerating, it's in another position because we're going to reverse the flow. So all the water is coming this way when we're softening the water. When we go into a regeneration mode, the piston moves over, the rod piston moves over, and then what happens is we go from the bottom, the water's coming down the tube, goes from the bottom through the screen on the bottom and starts to push its way up. As it pushes its way up, it comes through the top screen. Now we're taking anything that we captured in the resin bed, and we're sending it back out and to waste. And at the same time we're cleaning the resin bed, we are also cleaning the MDF on top or the garnet rock that's on top, depending on the age of your conditioner. So all of this gets backwashed, so to speak. If you have a pool and you backwash your pool, that's what happens in your sand filters. Same thing's happening here. We're just taking the resin bed, we're taking the water up through the resin bed, we're taking the water up through the top here, the garnet rock that I just showed you, and we're flushing all that out to waste. And at the end of that cycle, after we do that, we're going to take a little bit of water and we're going to add it back to the brine tank, and then the brine tank will start to generate that brine again. The salt area there on that will start to generate the brine. The brine is what we pick up through the hose, and it pulls the brine in. The brine comes through, cleans the resin. We throw that to waste. That's how the conditioner, the softener works. So I hope that helped. I hope I explained that good. Any question on that, Rob?
Not yet.
And that's why we're able to have such a small, compact unit, is because the resin bed in here is like vacuum packed. So we get 1.2 cubic feet of resin in the softeners on the small guy. I think it's 1.6 on the large one. So that's how we're able to do it. And that's how it really works well. And we're able to do it with that small footprint. It's also very low here to dump the salt in. You're not in a big high tank. We're in a small tank. And we're going to be switching over to another camera here. So just bear with us a second. I want to take this valve apart. I kind of have it already partially disassembled, but I just want to make sure that, I didn't want this to take up too much time. I just want you to see what's here. There's a little drive motor that I don't have on this unit, but I can just show you real quick on this unit. Right here is a little drive unit. This plugs into your controller. The sensor plugs into your controller. And then after that, we're going to go over here to the valve. We're just working on getting camera switched over. I will start to take a couple of these screws out.
While they're waiting, we do have one question.
Go.
The softeners, are they preloaded with the resin, or does it have to be added by the contractor?
That's like one of the integral things of our softeners is that vacuum packing and really stuffing the amount of cubic feet of resin in there. Yep. That's a big deal. That's why this is it. That's the S400 tank.
Right.
That's small. If you look at, walk into a normal home, we're real efficient. Theoretically, if I'm 25 grains hard, let's just use round numbers, 25 grains hard, and based on the amount of people in the house, I may only regenerate every 10 days. If I regenerate every 10 days, I basically have a year's worth of salt in there. We're going to use approximately 3 pounds of salt when we regenerate. And our regeneration time is probably going to be under 40 minutes because we're so compact and efficient, and we do the counterflow with the water and the brine. We'll do a quick rinse, then we'll run the brine through, we'll do the final flush, and then we'll dump the little water back into the tank to hold it and make the brine again. So that's all taken care of. Everything here is taken care of. Realistically, what you're really doing is you're going to take and here's a unit right in my hand. You can see the in and out. These are 1-inch tappings here. So you're just basically going to tie into these 2 tappings. You got your controller will mount right here, so you won't see this. The motor's missing. We took the motor off of this. I was trying to do a couple other things. I wanted to get back here to the gears so you could see the gears and the mechanism, what drives this piece that I'm going to take apart back and forth. This is your bypass right here, so that's in full bypass. Okay, if you go all the way over here, you can shut the flow off for service. So pretty nice valve. Here we go. So there are 4 screws on this side. Obviously I got the water shut off already, right? And we're going to disassemble 2. These are front 2 are the long ones. And I did partially take these apart just because I didn't want you guys to sit here and watch me fumble with a screwdriver for too long. Okay, here's 1 screw there. There's another screw down below here. Okay, so I've taken out 6 screws, and basically at that point, this whole mechanism will come out. So if you're having any issues where, let's say, we're not filling the brine tank, or we're not, we're just not softening, and we think we're bypassing, or something is going on, these little rings right here, okay, they're replaceable. And if you're getting into this business or you're in it already, this would be the area to look when you start to have some service issues. In here you can see the drive gears. So right here there's a motor, and based on when we need to regenerate, you can see on this wheel there's, let me see if you can see this or not. It looks like the lights are not working with us real well here, but yeah, there we go. You can see there's a bunch of different, it's like a cam for a motor, and you turn your drive valve train with your cam. That's what we're doing here. We're pushing in on this. This will tell it when to take on brine water and when not to. And this will be shifted in back and forth within this chamber so that we can reverse however we need to reverse the water, stop the water from one side, add water to the other side. Because remember, we're coming in through here, dropping down to the top of the tank, going down to the bottom of the tank, and then up and out to the system. When we take and do our regenerations, we're still bringing water in here, but this valve is going to divert it to the bottom of the tank first, then it'll push back up through the resin bed and out to waste. So we can clean all of that resin bed. Okay, so that's really pretty easy to take apart. There is right here, if the sensor were ever to fail, there's 1 Phillips head screw right here, and this sensor will come out. You can put the new sensor in, and that's it to the valve. We do have, precise cutouts on the bottom. If I were to look at this, and hopefully you'll see this here. Let me make sure I get this right. But you can see right here where this pipe is, right around that edge, that's where the mouth of this pipe goes. So there's a tight fit right there, okay? And our water is going to enter. Our water is going to enter right through here. When it enters through there, it hits this diverter. The diverter will then disperse that water throughout this whole top. This is a screen mesh, very fine screen, and the resin does not have the ability to go back up through it or down through it at the bottom. And that's what's going to allow our water to trickle down through that bed, the resin bed, and do that exchange with your positives, negatives, and grab them until we're ready to do a regeneration. Then we'll do it just the opposite. We're going to come up through the bed. We're going to push the used water, the cleaning of the bed, up through the screen, up and out, and to waste. And then to reassemble, you would, new gaskets. There is a little rubber ring here on the end that keeps the drive in place. And that's it to the valve. There's really not a whole lot here to the valve. There's really not a whole lot of items that can fail. I did want to open it up and just show you these washers. If you open this up and there's any dings, chips, scrapes, anything like that in these O-rings, which will happen over time, they'll just need to be replaced. And then reassemble the 6 screws, and that's it. And your control will hang right on here and plug into the little orange wire motors and into the sensor right here, which is a flow. Any questions on that valve assembly, Rob?
Don't see any. Nope, we're good.
You're good, clean on the valve assembly.
So far, yeah.
We can go back to, I guess we'll go back to the regular camera. If there's no questions on the valves, if there is, I can always center up on the other camera.
Yep.
No problem. Okay, that main camera's back on. That's what we have for you here this morning. It is a fairly simple line of products that AO offers for the water treatment and water conditioning world. And if you have interest in the product, please reach out. Be happy to load this in a vehicle and bring it out to your shop and walk you through it. Same thing with the test kits. We'll be happy to show you how to use those test kits. We appreciate everybody spending time with us today. I got you out of here in about 45 minutes, which I hope is good. And we thank everybody for participating in Webinar Wednesdays. Next week, I believe we have hands-on Fujitsu training, troubleshooting training next week. So please tune in 7:30 next Wednesday, and we'll see you there. Rick Coster will be teaching that class. So again, thank you everybody for hopping on with us this morning, and have a great day.